Oh, there it goes. Okay, it's recording now. Great. Okay. So, we're talking some character design today. So the first thing that I want to go over is we started with a survey to kind of get some prompts out. Now, obviously, in the real world, you're not going to have a prompt. This is mainly just if it depends on what you want your focus to be. If you just want to focus on having a design based off of an existing concept or an existing story, this will work well for you. Like if you're thinking, oh yeah, you're going to work with a team, someone else is writing, and then I want to design based off the writing, then someone might give you all this information about a character, and then you have to kind of evolve it or develop it. Stuff like that. Now, in the real world, if you want to come up with ideas like this, it's not a big deal to come up with it. You can just say like, okay, what kind of story am I making? Like, where does this character fit in? Who are they, etc., etc. So sorry. um, just drew a blank for a second. Anyway, so you don't have to follow this if you don't want to. You can. It works either way. But you can come up with these ideas in multiple ways. So you can either think of this in the sense of character centric or world centric. So if you wanted to design a world first and then fit characters in it, you could do it that way, or you could come up with characters first and then develop a world or a story around them. It really depends on how you want to approach things. But regardless, I usually like to think character first because it's, in my opinion, the most fun. We're not talking about developing a huge story here. We're only talking about designing a single character. But you want to consider more of these things. Like there's a lot of information on story writing, which we're not going to really delve into. We're just going to be designing a character based off of some ideas that we have. But I just want to like briefly prefix with some stuff. Also keep in mind that anything I say is really just kind of my opinion, my approach for things. There's many different ways to do things. Just find your way that works best for you, and hopefully by following along, you'll find what works best for you. So when I have a base idea or like a base context, or I'm trying to think of an idea for the character, I'll start by doing a bunch of scribble notes. So this is what I started with, but you can start with anything if you thought of your own aspects. But you just start writing a slew of stuff. None of this is in order or makes any sense really. Grammar doesn't matter. But I just started thinking about the different elements of their characteristics. So I thought, okay, so the big thing is they're like an intelligent, strong, confident type character. They're impatient. They're bad planners. So they're intelligent, but they're also bad at planning. Having things like this, like conflicting traits, it can lead to an interesting character as well. You have to think about like how both of these could be true. So it's kind of it's a good thing to kind of have traits like that, because people are contradictions, right? So there's a lot of times that they'll have features that contradict each other, and that just makes them feel a little bit more natural. So things I just kind of scribbled out. So I said, okay, they're probably a brawler type character. Maybe they're unkept, messy, right? So that kind of fits that stuff. If they're a brawler, maybe they have like hand wraps or something, so that they could like, because they're like punching people, stuff like that. Or maybe they'll have some sort of weapon that they travel with. They could have like a staff or spear. So like instantly right here, like this is an example of like, I'm just scribbling ideas. They might contradict each other. It doesn't matter right now. So they're selfish, rude, etc., etc. So then I also start thinking about, in this case, I think about things that they might change in the future. So thinking about their evolving story. So maybe they're not good with people, but they get to know people during the story or stuff like that. So I made them like an adventurer, so it's drifter type character. So they're a bounty hunter. So my idea was they would kind of just roam the world and say like, oh yeah, I just want to like work for money, and whatever comes my way, I'll just take. And they just kind of wander around taking odd jobs and fighting monsters and stuff like that, or maybe even like participating in wars and things. Interest. So they want to be like, what are their main focuses? They just want to be strong. So this character would live off the land because they're they're a drifter type character. So maybe they have raggedy clothes, stuff that they just picked up, kind of mashed together. Hey, my boy. Nomad type character, yeah, exactly. It's not necessarily for YouTube. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm just reading a bit of the chat, and all right. So, yeah. Okay. So yeah, they might just like maybe they just like steal stuff or just take things that are tossed away. So this is the point where they're like, okay, maybe they're intelligent, but they're a bad planner. So maybe they are smart as a ground level, but they choose not to think about things. They just go in blindly, even though they are capable of figuring things out if they try. So once I started have this kind of like scribbled out ideas, then I start evolving the story a bit, or evolving the character a little bit. So I start asking questions based off of what I've come up with so far. So for example, like where were they to begin with? So why were they somewhere? Why did they leave? So then I thought, okay, maybe they lived in a town that was attacked by humans. So this character is a demon, a demonic character. So the type was a humanoid demon, as far as the prompts go. So then why would the humans attack them? So maybe like it has a kind of trope, the trope where like, oh, demons are like super powerful, humans are scared of them, they will attack them. This also brings up another note about tropes. Tropes are pretty controversial. A lot of people say like, oh, never use tropes. But I think no matter what you do, you're going to end up with tropes. Just embrace them, use them in your own way, take advantage of them. They're there, and you're not going to avoid them even if you try. So if you think of something, don't worry about it being tropey. Just do something that feels right to you. Have fun with it, right? So then I thought about, okay, so if demons can use magic and they're super powerful, how do the humans win? And I thought maybe this particular village of demons that the character is from was like a pacifist village. So they could use magic, but they never used it for combat. And this kind of led to another idea, which was because the profession was a mage and a bounty hunter, but also like a strong kind of brutish character, these kind of another example of conflicting aspects. And I thought, oh, maybe the magic that they know is actually it's for healing purposes, because they grew up in a village that was a bunch of healers. So they don't really use their magic other than maybe like to heal themselves if they're wounded after like fighting something. So that's kind of that idea kind of tied into that. So these are things to think about. So don't ever forget about like what your foundations are and kind of try to tie them in as you're thinking of ideas. And then I went on to more questions. So I was saying, okay, well, if the character lost everything and is now wandering, what do they think? Do they resent people? And I felt like they wouldn't be a character that would hold grudges. I didn't want them to be a character that would hold grudges. So this could have been either way. Like either way can fit the character, but they just kind of they're like, oh, okay, so this happened. But they did gain kind of like the perception that that it's survival of the fittest, right? So it's so that's kind of like a way that they live off of. So that's why that they travel the world and they want to be stronger. It's because they think survival of the fittest. So that if they're the strongest, then they're good to go. And then I think about, okay, so now that they're traveling, where are they going? So this ties into what I mentioned earlier. Keep in mind, like I mentioned this earlier, because I've thought about this in advance. I hadn't thought about this when I had originally scribbled out ideas. So where are they going? I thought, okay, maybe, yeah, they're just like looking for challenges, go where there's conflict. So maybe if like, oh, there's a war in this continent, they're like, oh, I'm going to go there because there's lots of work, right? So and then they can like work for armies and stuff like that, and do jobs that no one wants to take. Or maybe like, oh, there's like this big monster that showed up near this town. And then they'll go, okay, I'll go there so that I can fight this giant monster. And they don't really care about who they're helping. They're just there for the challenge, right? And then I think about, okay, will their goals change in the future? This is less important for the initial design, but I do like to think about their goals and like what might happen in the story. But it doesn't necessarily have to reflect on their design, because this is stuff that happens to them later. So maybe you'll like evolve their design as the story progresses, but it's good to think about regardless. So I thought, okay, maybe like since demons can use magic, maybe they learn of like some magic ability that they can learn to become a stronger fighter, as opposed to just having magic that is used for healing purposes. Or maybe they take a job and end up in a group, and then they end up going somewhere that they don't actually intend. Maybe like this group will influence their decisions later. and change them as a character, which could also be very interesting as far as storytelling goes. If they travel a lot, these are just like another little note that I kind of covered earlier, but I thought, okay, so now I'm thinking about like what are they going to be wearing and stuff like that. If they're a traveler or a drifter, maybe they have like lots of layers of clothing. Like say like at some point they have to like travel through like a cold area, maybe they'll have some sort of heavier clothes. Maybe they'll just like pick up stuff and throw things away as needed. There's a bunch of things that we can do there, and I just have to think about like where they're going to start. But this is enough to kind of talk about so that we can start drawing some stuff. The big thing is like don't worry about the details unless you're working at in a big studio or in a team where the story's already developed. You can come up with the ideas and you can evolve them as you design. Even in companies, like even if you have a story developed already, things will change and evolve as you work on them. From my experience, like a lot of designs, they'll evolve and change. Like for a while, a character will be like, oh, it'll look like this. And this is what we want to have happen in the story. But then they'll design it and they'll be like, you know what, I actually don't like that anymore. And then they change it, which is actually kind of frustrating as a 3D artist, because I end up having to like redo characters because all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, we actually want this character to be like this. So that stuff happens, right? Things will change as you evolve. So I wouldn't worry too much about your initial idea. Let it be fluid, and as you draw you can think of more ideas, and we'll probably start thinking about more ideas for this character as we draw things out. May I please go to the bathroom? You do that, Cable. Did I miss anything else? The more info you get, the better feeling you're gonna have when designing. Yeah, you want to feel out your character, but don't worry about feeling out your character entirely, because when you design stuff, you will be inherently feeling it out more, right? Influences the design of the character. The design itself seems like it tells its story just on looking at them. Yes, yeah. Okay, so we have our idea, and we can start doodling some stuff out. Figuring out what we want, right? So before you go into this stage, a good idea is to kind of throw together a mood board. I usually like to use Pinterest. Just gather a bunch of images together. And once you have these images together, then you can start like giving yourself some ideas, right? And fleshing it out more. I'm not going to share my mood board, mainly because I don't want to influence your decisions. You come up with your own ideas and get your own inspirations, because otherwise everyone just ends up making the same thing. I think that's very important. That's actually another note too. When following tutorials or information like this, don't just make exactly what the teacher is making, or the person making the video on YouTube or something is making. Try to make your own thing, but use their methods to make your own thing. That's very important in my opinion, because otherwise you're not really learning, you're just regurgitating information. Okay, so I'll just check the chat real quick. Hold it in. Right. All right, got a bunch of refs. Good, cool. And don't be too worried about having like a final design today either. I mean, if you want to go in and you want to spend some more time thinking about it as you go, that's always good. I spent like the last couple weeks thinking about this character before starting, and I'll probably still make some like play around with it a bit during the week as well before we start modeling next weekend. The idea is just to kind of get your mind working and get started, and just have fun with it. All right, so the first thing that I like to do is kind of just do things that are very rough, very sketchy. I don't do it. A lot of people say like, oh, do these really tiny thumbnails and kind of do stuff like that. This stuff doesn't work for me because I like to do full sketches of things. Just you use what works for you. But I found like when I was doing these little thumbnails, everything started looking the same. and it just wasn't working for me. So I want to draw a little bit bigger than that, a little bit more defined, but not super detailed, worrying just about the big shapes and stuff like that, right? So okay, I'll usually just, I don't really care about the poses right now. I'm just gonna just draw like a couple stick figures or something like that, just to kind of get a body shape in. Again, we're going for like a more humanoid character. If you're drawing like a demon or a monster, yeah, you could do things that are pretty crazy, but because we had specifically like the human demon mix, I kind of want to do that. Also, I just feel like doing something a little bit more humanoid because that's my thing. Anyway, so I'm thinking about things now. What kind of things would they have on them? So the first thing that I thought was, okay, maybe they wear like a long coat or something. So if they're kind of a drifter character, maybe they'll use this coat to kind of like protect themselves against different elements. Say even if they're in like, I thought like maybe they could be in a warmer area, but they'll take this coat on and off. So it'd be like a desert area, but you know, like the desert gets really cold at night and then really hot during the day. So you could wear this coat around your waist, or put it on when it's cold, or even if there's like a sandstorm or something, you could like protect yourself, right? So that's kind of the thoughts that I have there. So that means what I would say is maybe that they would have this big coat, but then underneath they would have like a tank top or a short shirt or something like that, or maybe even like, you know, that classic like bandage wrap thing, because that's always fun. That's the other note too, is I don't stick too hard to saying, oh, it has to be always this really practical stuff. It's just sometimes you just want it to be fun, right? And don't be afraid to let it be fun, because otherwise you're just making something that isn't interesting to you. And I think it's important to kind of just stay loose and not worry about that so much. It's good to kind of think about what has to be there. It's good to think about what has to be there as far as the character goes to make sense. But that's not the only aspect. Sometimes you're just thinking about things. It's like, oh, because I want it to be interesting for the silhouette. So say like, oh, I want to break up the arm here. Maybe the sleeve is rolled up or something, and because it's rolled up, I have these kind of things sticking out to the side. Because that's if you don't think of anything that's out there. Or maybe they have a big bag, right? So maybe they travel with a bag, because they're a drifter, right? So they need all this stuff. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they'll just pick up things as they go. So maybe they won't have the bag. But we'll start with the bag for now. So maybe they have this big knapsack. And I like to, again, I said like, oh, I like to do tropes and stuff. So, you know, maybe we'll do the demon horn thing. Demon horns are cool, right? So maybe they're kind of like, you know, they got the classic horns. If they use healing magics, or they're an alchemist, maybe they have like some like elixir kind of thing that they just wear around their belt. So if they're like injured or wary or whatever, they can drink some of that elixir. So they do have like this kind of healing background that they can use to their advantage if they're in trouble, which is great because like if they're traveling the deserts, maybe like plant poisonous things or creatures, they can kind of what's the word? They can treat themselves, right? They can treat themselves if they get poisoned. No boob armor? Cable. You gotta be family friendly. No. I thought another thing would be like maybe you know, the classic like tail thing. I like the idea of having a tail because it kind of it's really easy to get these interesting shapes in the silhouette with that. So I might use that. That's kind of fun. So anyway, that was like one little sketch. But on your note of armor cable, like armor is actually a good idea too. So maybe they have some sort of light armor. Maybe they're maybe they don't just brawl. Maybe they actually combat with a weapon. Maybe they have a big heavy sword. If they're like a brute character, maybe they have a big sword. So this is like what I said about letting things evolve and not being too tied to your base foundation. You use the foundation, yes, and if you have a story and you have certain elements that they have to hit, that's cool. But I mean, the idea of them having a weapon or just using their fists to solve everything isn't necessarily a game changer to a major story, right? This is more about their character, and that doesn't necessarily matter. So if, say, they have a sword of some kind, right? So maybe they have like this giant, ridiculous Final Fantasy sword, right? Because that's fun and we like that stuff, right? So maybe they have that. And I don't know. This sword could be interesting too. I don't know. Maybe they found it on one of their expeditions, right? They just carry this thing around now. Maybe it's some sort of relic from like maybe they were asked to like go explore some ruins. And see, now I'm exploring more ideas, right? So maybe like in their past they like explored ruins to recover like recover kind of like gems or some sort of like something. Like maybe they had to find some sort of relic for client, right? So maybe there's like this royal king is just like, oh, I want you to find the magic orb from whatever, and they go out and they're like, oh yeah, this is cool, and then they find like the old remains of previous warriors that traveled that area, and they're like, oh man, this is a cool sword, I want it, and they just take it. Now they just rock it. So now they have this giant sword that they carry around. Sure. If they had a giant sword, normally your sword arm would have some sort of bracer for impact or whatnot. Because it's a huge sword, maybe they're going to use two hands, so maybe they'll have bracers on both hands. I still like the idea of a long coat. I love long coats. I should probably step away from that though, because I do that a lot. It's kind of a crutch. My long coat crutch, right? And I'm thinking, okay, so if they have armor or whatnot, actually the armor would probably be on the opposing arm, that they would like, not their main arm. So like this would be have less stuff on it, would be lighter, and they'd have maybe some armor here so that they could like block and attack with their opposing arm if someone's coming at them, right? Because they already have this big sword that they can block with, but their other arm is bare. So maybe they have some sort of armor plating on the one arm. Thinking about maybe like what kind of hair they would have, right? So I think because they're traveling, the most sensible thing would be some kind of ponytail or short hair, right? Because otherwise that hair gets in the way. It's fun as having like this long hair is, because I love drawing characters with long hair because it's very good for silhouette and stuff. Again, like I said, with the tail, you can get some cool shapes. But I'm kind of fighting gravity here, just to kind of, because again, what I'm saying is you're not making good realistic drawings. You are thinking about the design. So I'm drawing this ponytail in a way that fights gravity, just so that I know that it's there. There's a ponytail here. And then they have, I want to keep that tail because I like that tail. Another thought I had earlier is like maybe they were like some sort of like dragon demon race or something, so they could have a big dragon tail, like a lizard like tail. And again, having the horns, maybe a different shape of horn, something that kind of goes back like that. Again, if it's kind of like more draconian or whatever, it could be something like that. And maybe like this dragon race of demons are all healers, right? So like dragon demon healers. Right, so that's kind of fun. Let me see if I can catch up on the notes. Character design. Hey people, yeah, we're doing a little bit of a character design workshop today and figuring some stuff out. Pause, thank you very much for the sub. Sorry, the notifications aren't coming up right now because it's this is going up on YouTube, but I really appreciate it. Pause. I wish I could maybe play it again at the end of the stream or something if it'll let me. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. Please keep silence if the class is going. Don't worry, I'm happy to talk about questions and whatnot, or like respond to you guys. I'm not going to ignore chat because this is still a stream, even if we're talking design here. Okay, let me just have a little bit of a drink of water. Okay, so we've come this kind of route now. Now we're getting like these really interesting shapes, right? I kind of like this, even though it's completely ridiculous. But I'm kind of wanting to step away from this coat thing now, because I do this a lot. But it does make sense for like I always think that travelers with big coat is always cool. It makes sense to me because like they want to like obscure themselves, so maybe they have like a hood on there and they could wear the hood and whatnot. But again, like that's kind of my own personal trope. And you know how I say like, oh yeah, you want to avoid tropes, but tropes are okay. Well, I mean, if you're doing something the same all the time and you know you do the same thing all the time, maybe you shouldn't do that same thing, because you kind of want to mix it up a little bit for yourself anyway. Might want to have chat on the recording so people on YouTube can see the questions that were asked. So I thought about that, but I can just read them out too, because I think a lot of people that are watching the video, one, will mainly want to see what's being done if they're watching, and also they're probably going to be just listening to it like a podcast, if I'm honest. So the big thing is like I just want to, if we decide on future streams that we have the chat on there, I will include it. But any questions that are relevant, I will read them out loud and answer them. Okay, so moving on. Other stuff that we can think about. So maybe all right, let's think about other things that they could be wearing or traveling with. So let's just get another little biped in there. Again, not worrying too much about the pose or whatnot right now. Right now, I'm just thinking about the clothing design. Once you start picking designs that you like or elements that you like, maybe you're going to start thinking about more about their posture, design. I mean, sure, they're pretty confident, so I would say I have like these more confident poses. Maybe if it's like a weaker character or something, maybe they're like kind of slouched and they're just like that. Oh, I'm sad. You got your little arm there, but I mean, sometimes maybe you'd want to do that, or if they're kind of like a undead character or something, maybe you're just drawing them all limp or whatnot, which could be fun. But generally, if it's like a character like this, just like a nice straight pose will work. So yeah, I'm thinking about like maybe some lighter gear, right? So maybe maybe they'll have they just kind of like sort of small jacket, right? So something like that, right? But nothing big, right? So maybe it's like a short jacket, and then they have kind of like a wrap there or something, and then maybe and look, notice that it's just all scribbles right now. I don't care about sticking to an idea right away. So if I see something in the design later, that's perfectly fine. Because we're not really stretching things out or embellishing things, right? So maybe they have, you know, some thicker pants or something. Maybe they have a scarf instead. Like if there's like if they were in a kind of desert area, maybe they have a scarf to block sand from their face, right? Right. So and feel free to kind of like let ideas go too. Like I'm kind of sticking with the horn stuff because I kind of want that. But say like, oh, you know what, I want to try a couple designs without it. You can totally do that, and I probably will. Right. So, but yeah, I kind of like this idea. And then they have like a scarf that kind of goes out like this, right? Still thinking about, oh yeah, I didn't really tie in like the healing alchemist magic either. So maybe they have like a kind of shoulder bag that they carry around that has herbs and stuff in it, right? So maybe they have that. And I'm just gonna erase this so that you can kind of see where it is. Again, I'm still thinking, oh yeah, maybe they'll have some sort of weapon. Maybe instead of a sword, maybe they have like a giant hand armor thing, right? So maybe they have like a demonic arm that they like. Maybe they found like this magic ring or something that gives them demon arm magic or whatever. And then they can like beat shit up with the giant fist, kind of like Hellboy almost, right? So that's cool too. Let's carry on. At this point, I'm also going to be talking a little bit less because it's more like just kind of sketching out ideas and dishing some stuff out, but we'll keep going. We'll be getting it. Feel free to ask questions as we go. Yeah, let me just catch up again. Am I late? No, Courtney, you're on time. We're just started. We just went over some character description stuff, and now we're talking about doing some thumbnailing. And yeah, so we're just getting into the nitty-gritty now. Hey, Jason, welcome in. Also, anyone wanting to follow along, feel free to keep designing stuff. I will look at designs at the end if anyone wants to share them, and we can discuss them. Oh yeah, another thing too that I want to just put on some music for myself. You guys won't hear it because, you know, it YouTube doesn't like it when you have music on, but feel free to play your own stuff. But now that we're getting a little bit further into the nitty-gritty of stuff, I'll just have something in the background. Okay. I'm just gonna like look around my my reference sheet as well. Can we design an antagonist character instead of? Yeah, you can design whatever you like. That's really irrelevant. Just think about like what you want your character to do, right? And that's it. It can be anything really. Yeah. So I found one character that had really cool, like one reference that had really cool, interesting hair that I kind of like, that I kind of want to do something like. They have this kind of spiky hair, but then also a braid that kind of sticks out the bottom. That's kind of fun, but I won't. I'll play around with that anyway. But again, like I said, like having short hair makes the most sense for a character that's kind of adventuring and going around. If you're doing something that's a character that's maybe like a medic or a scholar or something, yeah, maybe they'll have long hair because they're not really having to run around or anything like that. Still thinking of other things. I'm kind of leaning towards the sword idea now, but I also like the idea that they just kind of fight. So maybe they do both. Maybe sometimes they'll just throw away their sword and they'll just beat shit up. Okay, so we got that. I'm thinking about what kind of things that they'll be wearing. Again, we were talking about maybe having a lighter top. I want them to be a strong character, but I don't want them to be a brute, so they're not super buff or anything like that, because they're kind of they're light on their feet, right? Are the prompts on Discord? Yeah, just type in !itinerary, Jason, and you'll get all the information you need. I'm gonna switch to my PC so I can draw along. Sounds good. Any tips for avoiding accidentally making self-insert characters? Like making characters that are based off of yourself? That's not a bad thing. But if you're thinking, if you don't want to self-insert, then you just think about that when you design your character, or when you come up with your concept. You just let those personality traits drive them, right? So you can even, if you really want to go against it, you could even use yourself as an opposite, right? So you can say like, oh, I act this way in this situation. This character would do the opposite thing, right? So you have to think about that, role play a little bit, put yourself in the shoes of that character and say like, okay, I would do this, but no, this character would do this because this is their personality, right? So you have to think about who they are and what they're doing. But I do like the idea of the shawl kind of thing. I think I overdo this a lot too, the shawl, but we'll see. But yeah, maybe it's like a cloak, right? Yeah, it could be like a cloak, a tattered robe cloak. Again, like this kind of thing can shield themselves, and it kind of acts the same way as the long coat did, but it's not a long coat, right? Yeah, so stuff like that. Girdle, welcome in. I'm surprised you made it. You were streaming pretty late yesterday. So I'm thinking about maybe they'll have like some shorts or something, and then I do like having like the little skin regions there because they do break up the light and dark. Even if you had like pants that had this kind of like lighter strip in them, it's nice because it kind of like breaks up the silhouette a little bit. Thinking about asymmetry as well, so like having one boot or whatever go higher than the other is always a fun idea. I have client calls and I have to tutor a student. I can only learn. That's all right. The VOD will be up. I will be uploading this to YouTube at the end. Yeah. So no worries, no worries. I'm thinking about kind of shortcut hair in general. I still like the idea of having the braid at the bottom. So I really like this. So I'm probably going to hold on to it. But again, I should probably mix around a little bit. Feel free to kind of extend or remove ideas too. Yeah, so just, yeah, play around with it, do what you like. Especially if you're doing a project on your own, which is kind of the main point of this workshop, is for people who want to develop their own IPs and stuff like that. You can just do whatever you want, right? Don't worry about what other people are telling you you should and shouldn't do. At the end of the day, you're the one doing it. So I'm thinking of other things too, like what they would be wearing around or what they would care about. Maybe they stole this cloak from some sort of like maybe they were part of a. Remember how I said earlier that maybe they'll end up traveling with groups or whatnot. Maybe in the past they did, and maybe some of the companions or one of their companions died, and they just like, oh, I'm just going to take this coat because this coat is cool. It'll be helpful for like protecting against the elements. So maybe that's how they got that. Maybe it has like a Royal Guard emblem on it, even though they're not part of it. That could be kind of fun. So you got something like that now. And thinking of what they'll be wearing on their feet, definitely some kind of thicker boot. If they're traveling around a lot, they'll have some sort of boots. Maybe these boots are all tattered up. They did kind of like steal them or reuse them or just something like that. They're just their clothing is a bunch of like scrapped stuff, right? So maybe even their boots don't match, which is why they have one boot that's higher than the other, right? So maybe this is like a tattered boot like that. But it has this kind of like overlapping one where the other one doesn't, and it's just kind of like this closed cuff boot. So there's a bunch of different options there. Again, with the armor plating, I kind of like the idea of having some armor plating on one arm, but maybe not because they are a lighter character as well, so I might scrap that, but we'll see. Having kind of like the wraps around the arms, like I had said earlier, to kind of like brace their arms is also cool. Having some sort of body wrap or something like that is also plausible. Again, the anatomy is terrible here, but that doesn't matter. We're just kind of figuring things out. I do want to figure out this torso area. I've never been a big fan of how I design those areas ever. I might just kind of like look at that a little bit more specifically now. Think about what they might have there. I am liking the idea of like a cloak robe type thing on the top, but maybe they'll have, you know, something underneath, right? And I'm gonna play around with this idea a little bit more, right? So keep that kind of there with the cape and the arm. But I'm thinking about what they'll have on the bottom here. So maybe it's some sort of, you know, skewed pants or whatever. We could do the fun thing where you just have too many belts. I always like the extra belts, even if it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's fun. It's like an interesting design piece, and it kind of fits because they have like a lot of like scrappy parts, right? They're just kind of throwing things together. So that's kind of fun. Belt around the neck? No. I mean, you could have like a belt around this kind of hood thing if you wanted. So yeah, maybe it's like tied with the belt. That's fun. I've done that on another design actually, so I might not do that because I've done it before. But if it supports the character, I'll still do it even if I've done it before. I still like the idea of having that emblem or whatever, but I don't like. So I was thinking, yeah, so maybe they have some sort of coat here, maybe. Kind of it sticks out to the side. If it sticks out a little bit, then it's a little bit interesting for the shape. Again, maybe some sort of shorts. And maybe we'll have like horns that kind of stick out a little bit more. I kind of like the idea of maybe having like the pointy ears. Some pointy ears. They kind of stick out to the side. And I do like the idea of having the kind of almost if you looked at the hair from the side. So now I'm kind of playing around with the side view a little bit to figure it out. But having the hair kind of go like this, right? And then you have your pointed ears, and you'd have, how would this work at the back? I guess you'd have this kind of ponytail at the top, and then underneath it, the braid kind of comes out. Okay, that's kind of fun. Right? And then you have the big old horns. I'm trying to think of like, horns are difficult as far as like how they interact with the hair and where they stick out. But maybe they just stick out right at the side of her head, right? A lot of the times you'll see this cheated, right? Where they'll just make the hair and just jam horns into the side. Which is probably what I'll end up doing because it looks better. I don't want to have like this big skin gap underneath the horn in the hair. Unless like you had hair that kind of like grew out from here or something like that. Right, and then this kind of wraps up into that, and then you got your braid underneath. $1 million belts. Stuff will learn us. I'll do my best to teach you what I know. But again, don't end with whatever I say. Take what I say and just think about it yourself and think about what you agree with and what you don't agree with and use that, right? This is starting to look very regal, but this is also because it's just a bunch of scribbles, right? But I have to be careful, that might be stepping away from the character. So far, I'm still really liking this one and this one. I didn't use the tail on this one. I want to bring that back, I think. So I might do that. Is there a place on Discord where everyone will be posting their progress along with the workshop? Currently no, but I do want to make one. I'll probably do that right after stream. Actually, I might have to do that at the end of the stream if people want to share their concepts and stuff like that, so that we can look at them. I should have thought of doing that beforehand. Make thread. Okay, so we're gonna go back here. I still want to figure out what I want them to be wearing here. Maybe they have a kind of shirt like that, right? So maybe it's like this is all a shirt with a little collar thing, right? And then I'm thinking like this will kind of splay out. If maybe they have, oh yeah, maybe they have like this kind of like side sash thing as well. It'd be kind of fun. Although this might be obstructive to movement, so that might be a bad idea as well. But still worth playing around with. So I want to think about them with and without this hood as well, because I imagine that they would remove this if it comes to a case where if they're so like in the cases that they're in a fight or something, they'd probably remove this stuff, and then when they're traveling again, they'd put it back on, is kind of what I would think from this character. Still feeling. I'm gonna do this one without the hood thing, even though I'm technically thinking that this is still gonna exist here, but I'm thinking about what's underneath right now. Again, maybe it's an angled pant leg type thing with the boot. Another thing you could play with is having like the I forget what this kind of leg is called, but the one that kind of splits like that. I don't think I like that idea very much, but you could do something like that if they were an Oni type demon character. Also possible. I haven't saved yet. Let's do that. Don't forget to save, everyone. What if the horns kind of like stuck out to the side like this? That look like bull horns or whatever. We're gonna have the neck here, shoulders, like a little bit of hair splay or whatever. What if we just really push that? What if we had like this crazy ass like just hair coming out to the side? Yeah. I'm thinking of applying your workshop teachings to my Ginyu Force school. Oh, do it. Do it. Yeah, you guys take whatever you want out of this. Thinking about like what other stuff they would have. Oh yeah, I still want them to have some sort of like again some sort of healing equipment or some so maybe they have like a little pouch on their million belts. Thinking about like what would be on their arms as well. This is why I don't want to do like super tiny thumbnails because I want to think about all the little aspects and things that they're wearing. If I do something that's really tiny, I'm not going to get any of that. But maybe let's see. Oh yeah, let's bring that demon hand back. Trying to think of how this would attach. Would it actually be her arm that has kind of become this kind of like monstrous thing because of their magic ring? It's very possible. Or maybe it's something that just kind of floats around it. Maybe it's made of like shells. Or maybe they can just do that because they're dragons. Right? If we want to like bring that dragon tail back. We can definitely do that. What if what if we added wings, guys? You'd have the dragon wings. You can just do whatever. You don't have to be sticking to it. But I knew I'd get cable with the wings. I need to stop with the fur coats. Yeah. See, like everyone has those kind of tropes that they do themselves all the time, and I'm also trying to step away from it. I said the word. That's right. Moto hype. Okay, so thinking about some more torso stuff, right? What if we had something that was kind of like open on the sides but covered in the front and back? It'd be fun. I'm thinking about like what if there's a giant like one solid sleeve chunk on here that has the wrap at the bottom, something like that, and maybe have the armor on that arm still. I know we were thinking about having some armor pieces. I still think that might be a good idea. Again, we would still maybe have this kind of hood or shawl or cape, cloak, whatever. I'm wondering if maybe their medical stuff is like strapped onto their leg instead of their hip. Maybe it's less obstructive, right? Because they have to move around a lot. So maybe that makes more sense to have like a leg pouch. Right. I'm also thinking about like they have a tail. What kind of clothing they would have? They have to have like something that can cut open in the back, right? So maybe the shirt kind of goes like this in the back, and they have a tail that kind of comes out. Wing sister. Um, this is just an excuse to design IS villain. I already have an IS villain. Anyway. Okay. But I know this is going to be completely separate from the game. This character has their own story that doesn't make sense in that world. I do want to bring back the idea of having the sword. I'm leaning towards the sword idea. Want to have this kind of massive weapon. If they do have a sword, maybe I'm gonna like sling it over their shoulder. And we got the hair here. So I'm thinking about the pointed ear and kind of spiky hair, but not too spiky. Just spiky in the back. But I think I'm getting some ideas here that I like, right? That's kind of fun. And then maybe they have like a wrap thing here. Still some belts. And I do like the idea. Oh, maybe they have maybe this is all closed up, but it's kind of tattered, right? And like some sort of holes in their pant leg or whatever. And then they have the boot here. I'm wondering like maybe the boot again, like I said, it'll have like straps and whatnot, but maybe like the toes are gone or something because it's just completely worn through. Could be something like that too. What else we got? So maybe yeah, I like the idea of having two different boots on both sides because again, maybe they had found one boot and then they've worn out, and they found another boot that could work. They just took the one. Still having that kind of Royal Guard emblem because they took this coat from a Royal Guard member from a previous mission. Previous job, I should say. Not mission because they're a kind of drifter, bounty hunter type thing. So they just take whatever. Okay. So I kind of want to start stepping up a little bit and doing a little bit more detailed drawings at this point. You could probably flesh this out more. It's usually good. And even after I start doing something that's more detailed, there's a good chance that I might just come back to this phase here. Must tutor? All right, no worries, Fertile. Have a good one. All right. So, I'm gonna duplicate this and make it smaller. So now I still have my ideas here, and I can think about stuff that I liked, and we can start drawing something a little bit more detailed, a little bit bigger. Thanks, Girdle. Yeah, I'll be making the channel for that. Okay, so not too big. I went too big there, but bigger, right? And again, we're not going for something that's super polished or anything like that. We're just trying to now figure out our character, right? We can also start thinking about like how we want to design proportions. I always like this kind of tapered leg, so like see how the leg kind of like goes into like a little point almost, little tiny feet. I don't know if I'll actually use that or not, but I'm gonna draw that way. That's the other thing too, is the style of your drawings doesn't necessarily have to reflect your model either. If you do something that's very cartoony, maybe it could be a little bit too much to do something that's like a realistic character, but the big thing is just to figure out like, oh, how would they stand? What would they wear? What would they how would they would emote, or how they would look around, or things like that, right? It doesn't like that stuff can work on anything, right? It doesn't matter what the style is. And once you have a design you like too, then you can start thinking about other angles. So we'll probably start thinking about the back view and whatnot as well once we have a design that we like. But first, let's just kind of draw stuff out and see what we like, right? Obviously, the anatomy here is bad, but whatever. You know, you have back head, whatever. And also, I got way ahead of myself on doing the face because I tend to do that. I know lots of people probably do that too, right? Where they get ahead of themselves and they draw details on a part that's probably gonna have to be erased anyway because you didn't plan everything out ahead of time. But hey, you know what? That kind of stuff just happens, right? So I'm just thinking about like maybe having some sort of interesting crisscrossy cloth. And if I do that, then maybe that's when you start thinking about other designs that kind of carry out throughout the design too. Although this character is going to have a lot of mismatched items, I do like the idea of having a lot of things crossing over like that because it makes things feel a little bit less organized, right? It's just kind of a mismatch of stuff, right? So maybe they have like this kind of cloth that kind of goes like that, and they have maybe this kind of straps that go around like that. Life happens, indeed. Life does happen. Life could not happen if it tried. And I'm thinking about hairstyles. I'm gonna like look at some of my references again. Kind of like that. Also, I never flip my canvas. That's gonna be a problem later. Whatever. Again, like you're not trying to draw a good drawing. You're trying to get an idea, right? Alright. And again, I want to fit some horns on there. I'm still not sure what kind of horns I want her to have, but maybe I do like the idea of having these kind of like curled forward horns that kind of have this kind of shell look. Right. I'm on board for the draconian kind of look, right? So maybe they have this kind of thing like that. And then I'm thinking, okay, so yeah, then maybe has the hair that kind of sticks out to the side a little bit. Maybe not quite like that, but more down. And then having the braid. I'm gonna keep that. Um, so and I might even just take this body and try to like retrofit other outfits on top as well. Her face has got to be longer. It's a little bit small, short for age. That's a little bit better. Okay. That's one thing I got to work on too. Is saying say all the time, and I'm sorry for it. I still want to have. I want to bring that cloak back. That just covers up everything. Maybe it's gonna be smaller, right? Yeah. Clip is crashing. Oh no. Save your file. Oh, it's crashing right now and you haven't saved. Oh boy. Screen cap. Use the screen cap. That's what I do if I can't save it. Just use a print screen. At least you'll have something. We're having that leg pouch thing. And we're gonna have bracers. I'm gonna keep the sword idea. Not worrying about the quality of the drawing still, just kind of saying that's going to be a sword of some kind. And it's going to be a little bit ornate because this is like an heirloom that, again, they found in some sort of ruins and just took for their own. Still going to have the tail. I was thinking about the leg now, as far as what I want them to be wearing. Again, I'm still thinking that we're gonna have the the kind of two different boots. I do like that idea. And maybe this boot will have belt straps going down it or something. This needs something that kind of keeps it together. And then the other boot's going to be a little bit lower, but it's going to have this kind of sock almost that kind of goes up a little bit. And again, these are going to be straps there. And something like that. I think that's looking kind of cool, right? Screen cap, yeah. I lost some stuff, but what I need came back. Okay, cool. That's good. All right, so got something there, and I think later on I might design this probably during the week. I'm not going to do this on stream, but I might design this sword separately and kind of get a little bit more into the nitty gritty, because originally I wasn't sure if this character would. I wasn't even thinking this character would have a sword. So I don't really have a lot of reference pictures for swords. But yeah, I'll kind of like look at some stuff and try to work it out. But it's the same kind of deal, right? It's not a big deal. Like a lot of this stuff is right now we're just figuring stuff out. And if you want to refine your idea later on, you can get more specific references once you know exactly what you're making, right? Yeah. All right. So let's I'm gonna refine this drawing a little bit. So clean up the ideas, because right now it's pretty rough, right? And then we'll play around with other ideas and stuff too. So now I'm going probably a little bit more detailed now than I need to. The drawing that I had would probably be more than sufficient for the purposes that we need, but it's always fun to kind of elaborate or embellish the drawing a little bit more, right? Yeah. Wow, we didn't need much of the stream at all. But I mean, if we go into getting a little bit, we'll embellish this. We'll get into some colors and stuff and go on, go further from there. What was the character outline for this project? So the prompt was, for a reminder, actually, if you just type in ! itinerary, you'll get it. You'll get all the details. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have it open, or I might have closed it accidentally. So it's probably faster and easier for you to just use the prompt or use the command. I want them to have smaller eyes. They're looking a little bit too friendly. This would be like a protagonist character, so she's not a villain, but she's not a good guy either. She's kind of like an anti-hero, you know? And maybe that'll change over time, over the course of the story that she'd be in. She's confident, which is why I kind of give her a little bit of a smug grin. Yeah, so now it's just going to be a little bit quiet for a while we just kind of draw stuff out and have a little bit of fun. This part doesn't really have a lot to talk about, but I will bring up any thoughts that I have as I go. I'm still thinking about how those horns are going to fit in. Right? So I think like right now you see a little bit of the side of the head, but you probably wouldn't. Maybe the horn kind of wraps around a little bit more, kind of like a goat horn, almost. Here. Thinking about the dimensions or the shape, so maybe this has like a bit of a shelf on the inside. Just thinking about shape language and stuff. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I never come up with a huge amount of thumbnails like this. Most professionals will be like, come up with 1,000 or 100 of these. I never do that. I don't have time for that. And maybe you do, and if you do, yeah, do as many as you have time for. But I think if you come up with an idea and you're happy with it, just roll with it. Do what you like. This horn is not in perspective. And let me know if there's anything that's missing from the itinerary that you still need to know. But it should have everything there. I still want to have that kind of hood there. Again, making maybe a bit smaller than I had originally made it. Another thing that you want to be careful of is a lot of the times when you add these kind of collars and things, you end up making the neck way too long. At least I do. It's something to look out for. You got it? Awesome. thinking about if she is a fighter, maybe she has some sort of scars, but then that could be a little bit uh, but again, I'm okay with trophy, but that might be a little bit overdone, but we'll see. I mean, maybe if it could be like from her childhood when her town was attacked, she could have some sort of injuries or whatnot. Maybe like a burn or something. Maybe like part of her face is burnt like that. Or maybe she just has a big cut across it. Or maybe her face will be okay and I'll have it on other parts of her. Again, I kind of like the idea of having that kind of bunch of hair that kind of is tied up at the back, but maybe not. We'll see. I might lose it. I might lose it later, but we can draw it in and we can erase it if we don't like it. And okay, so now we're just figuring out the kind of cloak thing here. If she has that going on, maybe it has the emblem there. But she's not looking much like a drifter right now. She's looking a little bit too regal. Hey, Sapphire. How's it going? It's going good. We're just working on our character design. We've been going through. We did some thumbnailing, some character description discussions, and coming up with ideas. And now we're just doing a little bit of a more detailed drawing. But I'm not sure how I'm feeling quite yet because I'm not getting the kind of mercenary vibes out of this. It feels very regal right now, which is a problem. I'm gonna lose this because it almost looks like a freaking emblem or something. Maybe if I kind of tatter this stuff up, like it just feels a little bit too perfect. So again, I'm just trying to like make the character feel like what they do. Doing a big learn day, yes. So this is the first stream of our character workshop. So we're going to be creating this character, and we're going to be bringing them through the whole pipeline, all the way up until game implementation in Unity. Okay, Chet, how are you doing? Oh, good. I missed the 2D part. Isn't that the part you want to be here for? We're only doing the 2D stuff today. Yeah, we're only doing the 2D stuff today because the design takes a whole stream. We're not going to start sculpting today. I'm all about that 2D life, yeah. And it shows. Thinking like maybe having it open in the front. A little bit less proper, right? Because this character is feeling way too proper for what they do. And I'm still going to put this kind of armor plating underneath. And this is just going to be kind of like arm straps kind of thing. All right, so this is feeling a lot more rugged now, which is good. We're on the right track now. Maybe this is kind of torn up. And I still want it to be kind of tied in the side there. I'm also noticing that oh, this is my favorite part of Clip Studio, is that you can take multiple layers and move them all together. So if I was to do something like this, and I selected both these layers, I can move my sketch layer and that layer at the same time so that they still line up. Isn't that rad? It's freaking cool, dude. Your 2D stuff is amazing though, thank you. Well, your 2D stuff is amazing. So handy, isn't it? That's my favorite feature. So we're still gonna have the braid going on here. Blowing in the wind. I don't care about it being super accurate. I'm just kind of indicating that it's a braid. I didn't know that. Now you do. Ah. Also, anyone who doesn't know Sapphire should check out her stream because her work is amazing. I hope I'm spelling this right. Yeah. I think we need someone telling us to make a demo witch around here. I think Squeaky knows everything he needs to know about design. Okay, so I want this to be kind of open. This one's probably gonna be like a more proper bracer arm, right? So I'm probably gonna add some like belts here. And a hand. And have like the hilt. Again, I'm not too worried about the sword right now. Maybe add some scars or something on the face. Kind of. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about the face, but then I also tend to do that a lot. So I thought maybe I'd have like scars like here or something like that. Or maybe she has like an eye patch or something. That could be fun too, actually. I kind of like that. So yeah, maybe like she lost an eye. She's feeling much more rugged now. We still got the leg strap thing going on here. This is gonna be her medical herbs. People who work on manual labor tend to have really rough hands. Also true. Also true. So yeah, she'll probably have some gnarly hands. All right, and then we have this kind of boot like that. Kind of want to splay this out a little bit. I think splaying this out will make it feel one like more like a loose fabric, but two, it'll just kind of add interest to the silhouette. We could still have some sort of straps around here. Maybe it'll be open in the front actually too. That would be nice. Having so much trouble, I so rarely draw male characters. Hey, you know what? That's how you learn. Don't worry about it being good or bad. All that matters is that you did it. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is gonna be some sort of tattered rag kind of thing. And we'll do another pass over this too to clean it up one more time before we start doing color and stuff. And maybe we'll also draw a back view. Because the back view is kind of important. Still not sure about having this open, but maybe like we can do something like that as well. And just leave the side open. Yeah. And then I was also gonna have some sort of side things here, but maybe I won't. But I will have some belt straps. Belt straps are cool. You know, stuff like that. Oh, we're doing the party up. That's not gonna work right now, Sapphire, unfortunately. Oh no, I can't. I'll save it for next time. But normally we have little characters on the bottom of the screen. But because we're doing a video for YouTube as well, it doesn't have that stuff. I'm sorry. But next time, next stream, you're here. I'll remember, and you can pick a character that gets added to the overlay. I mean, we might switch to a regular stream later in the stream too, depending on how far we get. Yeah. Because we might have enough content that this kind of just gets the idea across. But I do want to get all the way to like drawing back view and thinking about colors and stuff like that as well. So, but maybe after we'll have some time, considering it's only 11 right now. And it's not YouTube's fault. It was my decision that I thought that I should have the overlay a little bit cleaner so that if the video is going to be a VOD, it's a little nicer to see what's being made, right? But you know, who knows? I want to have a little bit of a smaller, because this isn't meant for blocking, right? It's meant for beating. So it's probably not going to have a huge. I forget what the name of this thing is, blocker or whatever it is. But it will probably be tighter. Maybe it has a little bit of a dangly bit. A little bit of cloth hanging out. Maybe she's fighting stuff. Maybe she has like some sort of injury here or something like that. This is always a little bit skeptical too, because I'm always skeptical about doing stuff like this because having this one injury throughout the whole course of the story might be a little bit weird. But maybe, you know, maybe we'll have it there for the sake of the argument. I'm gonna try bringing this back again, but having some sort of thing in the back there. I'll probably have some sort of color mix up in the hair. I always like the idea of having the inside of the hair a different color, so I might play around with that. Or have some sort of highlights. Oops. Whoa, thank you, Chan. Thank you very much for the raid. Welcome in. We're doing a character design workshop today. So we went through doing a bunch of. We talked about the write-up for the character. We started doing some thumbnails, and now we're doing a little bit more of a detailed sketch. And then we're going to talk about doing like a back view, and working on some colors and stuff. But how is your stream? Welcome in. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with this. Still thinking about like what I want to be on the legs here. I feel weird about having it just end there and then have leg and then have nothing and then have this, right? So we'll see. Then we'll have some belt straps here. Yeah. Can I speak up? Oh, have I been like starting to mumble? Yeah, my bad. I'll speak a little bit louder. How's that? Maybe a front flap thing? Yeah. Yeah, but I know that like as far as movement goes, it's very obstructive, right? So, but yeah, maybe we could do something like that. Yeah, that could be something as well. You've been mumbling? Oh, okay. Well, why didn't anyone say so earlier? Now this is going to be a VOD, and no one's going to be able to understand what I'm saying. It's your fault. No, it's my fault. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Anyway, let's do one more pass over this. I want to blast your voice full volume and annoy my neighbors. Oh. Slowly ease into it, I see. Yeah, I guess it's because like I'm kind of getting to the point where there's like less stuff to talk about, so I'm just kind of like zoning a little bit. But that's okay. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. And I hope some people are learning something. From the fur, what do you mean? He's been mumbling the secret hidden arts to create fabulous 2D models just to tease us. That's right. Well, we haven't even gotten to the 3D stuff yet. 3D stuff will start next stream, where we'll be going over anatomy and starting to block out our character. Keep in mind that at the end of next stream, it won't look good. Don't expect it to look good at the end of next stream because it never looks good after the first pass on anatomy. It won't be until the following weekend when we start blocking out clothing and stuff that it'll look somewhat decent. I'm not going to get into like the deep the nitty gritty details of anatomy. Like you'll have to kind of learn anatomy on your own time. The big thing is like I'm going to be showing the workflow for modeling a thing, and I will like obviously I will be explaining some of the concepts, right? Like some areas will be like, oh yeah, this is this area, and I'm making this, and there's this kind of shape over here, kind of thing. But for the most part, it won't be super detailed information on anatomy. That's not the point, right? The point is just to kind of talk about workflow and coming up with ideas and stuff like that. You're putting fur everywhere. Oh boy. Fur is a challenge. It's difficult. I can't save you from that. You're just gonna have to roll with it. Expect to make an anatomically correct potato. Got it. That's right. A cat tato, as it were. Probably gonna want to mirror this over. I'm also kind of noticing that the eye is too far out. I'm gonna pull it in a little bit. The only problem with pulling it in is now this hair is blocking it, so I might want to move that. But again, this stuff isn't important. Not really, anyway, because it's just getting the idea out, right? Kind of not digging the smirk. I'm gonna make her a little bit more serious. I think that's more of the character that I want her to be. Maybe not super sarcastic. A little bit sarcastic, but there we go. And I wonder if we could maybe make this a little bit more interesting shape. What if it went like this? Kind of like a fin almost, I guess. Okay. We're doing the eye patch thing. I do like that idea of having an eye patch. That was a good call. Maybe the eye patch has a wobbly eye? What do you mean, like an eye strapped onto the front of the eye patch? The googly eye? There you go. It's perfect. It's perfect in every way. One of these? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I did. One thing I'm noticing too is that her head is very off-centered. I mean, this is all again stuff that doesn't really matter. I'm kind of just trying to make it feel a little bit more correct, I guess. But if you're just trying to design something, you don't really need to worry about that. Yeah, her head was just way too far forward. I'm just doing this so that I feel better about myself. That's better. But your heart says fix it. Yeah, exactly. So easy to do that, right? And I mean, again, a lot of that stuff doesn't matter when you're designing, but if it's distracting you, it might be good to just fix it anyway. Because you don't want to be distracted while you're trying to design. And at this point, I'm not really designing either. I'm just kind of fleshing out details. I'm just trying to validate the idea, right? If I can make it look somewhat decent, then I can feel a little bit more confident in my decisions. I really don't like this face. Hold on, let me just do that again. I'm gonna wipe that away just so that I can just draw a face. I'm gonna draw both eyes in just so that I can figure out where the eyes go, even if I end up putting an eye patch on. Kind of like the tiny eyebrows. So I'm probably gonna do the little dot brows. Can I get a canvas flip? Yeah, I just flipped it. You could also set a time limit if it's too distracting. That's true. There's many different approaches and to do a thing for sure. Gonna make that nose lower. Unfortunately, the VOD watchers will be able to fast forward through this. So we don't have to worry about it too much. In fact, if they wanted to, they could skip over right until we start drawing the back view, start figuring that out. We're doing color or whatnot. My inability to draw is coming out right now. Oh, don't even worry about it. You don't have to draw well. Like, what I'm drawing isn't that great either. It does the trick, but I wouldn't consider it good drawing. Who would want to fast forward this? Most people. They're not here to watch someone draw, they're here to learn or to listen about my opinions on character design, I guess. I hesitate to say the word learn, but hopefully learn. People with 60 minutes left to live. I want to see those sketches at the end of the class. Oh, yeah. Agree to disagree, right? There is a sketch, but better than mine already. Oh. I think you can get it. Never know what to do with the legs. Yeah, legs are tough. I never really know either. I suck at line art. I think you should have started showing examples of good 3D characters, your entire portfolio, for example, and bad 3D characters. I never want to say good and bad, because that's a little bit short-sighted, and that only provides hate. I would never say like this is a bad model. I would point out what makes a model good, but I would never say like, oh, this is a bad model, because that just, yeah, nothing good comes out of that. I think you can judge for yourself whether something looks good or bad too. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Let me know if this is better. Put your volume up. This is as loud as it goes, my friend. This is as loud as it goes. I'm wondering if I kind of want to have like some dark undertones under her eyes, because probably doesn't sleep much. Gonna have a little bit of eyeshadow. She's tired. I want to bring a little bit of the confidence back though. Maybe I'll bring a little bit of a smile. Oh, Caleb put his volume louder, but I want it to be at a good volume, because anyone watching the videos is going to want to be adjusting their volume throughout the whole stream, right? Or the VOD, I should say. But you know, that's just where we're at. I'm thinking this is going to be kind of a curve inward. So I'm thinking we'll go till about, well, we'll go until this is done, and then we'll go over anyone who wants to share their stuff, and we'll talk about that for a little while. And I think that'll be good. And then maybe we can just vibe for a few minutes at the end of the stream, and I'll stop the recording. And then this afternoon I'll upload this thing to YouTube. Although I think it'll take several hours to upload. Whale noises outside. My bad. Let me plug the entire Adobe surround system. Yeah, no, don't do that. I will. I'll try to keep talking louder. If I'm too quiet, just let me know. I have a bad habit of mumbling. I'm not a big public speaker, you know. Looking pretty sinister. But I think that's because of all the shadowing and shading in there. That's okay. Probably put some holes in the cloak as well. In the time you have finished all your sketches, I have made one. That's okay. Feel free to take the whole week to do this stuff. We'll be going over them at the beginning of next stream as well. Oh, all right, pause. Have a good day, and have fun at work. I'm gonna have a bit of the arm in there, and then this is gonna have some straps that go across like that. And I'm thinking a bit about the dark areas as well. I still don't want her to feel as sinister as she's feeling. I'm probably going to rework it a little bit to make it a little bit friendlier. Because she is supposed to be a protagonist character. And it feels weird to make them look super evil, you know? So I'll rework things a little bit to make them friendlier, but still kind of selfish, I guess. I still want them to kind of feel selfish and strong, but I don't want them to feel like a villain. Like a villain that's just out to get you kind of thing is not the character that I'm trying to make. Yeah, I want to make sure that the clothing is all torn up and stuff as well. Not worried too much about the details still. And I probably won't even worry about the details at the very end either. Probably just gonna like slap some colors on a sketchy drawing like this. But I do want to go over a couple passes because every time I go over a pass, I'm evolving the design a little bit. So you'll notice like parts of the design change every time I go over it because I think, oh, okay, so this is cool, but now I'm kind of like thinking about other elements that I'm working in. Like I want to have a little bit of a cross thing. I wanted to have this kind of sheet that we were discussing in the front to kind of like add a little bit of breakup to the design. So there's all this stuff that we have to think about. And like scars or whatnot. I'm thinking that the back will have to be, so she has this kind of sheet that goes down the front of her shirt, but the back I think won't. It might even just kind of like drape off like a cape because she has a big tail that kind of sticks into the back, right? So this is gotta go like right into the lower spine. That's important to think about too. Is like you'll often find designs that just don't think about the 3D and like the back view and how this would actually fit in. So there's, yeah, you got to think about that stuff. I'm gonna exaggerate the size of these things. I kind of like the idea of having giant buckles, even if this pouch isn't huge. She doesn't feel sinister to you? Okay. I think I just want to like lighten up her face a little bit. And I still want to add a little bit of armor in there. I'm almost wondering if maybe this cloak would tuck up a little bit to kind of reveal this shoulder pad. I'm thinking that might be better because this is much more interesting for the silhouette. If we're gonna have a shoulder pad, let's like pull it out. Yeah, and this is what I mean about evolving design too, right? See, now I've pulled this thing out, and then this is gonna be kind of more draped around, and maybe it'll kind of break up the silhouette a little bit because it's kind of tucked around. Still gotta add a little bit of cuts and stuff to make it damaged. I don't really know what the Royal Guard symbol will be, but let's maybe make like a a sword for now or something will be the royal guard symbol. We can maybe look at some more symbols later. That kind of stuff I'm not really worried about for this part of the design. Little symbols like that can change easily. Or maybe like a dragon arm. Yeah, I mean, like one of the arms could be like dragon-like. Like I was saying, maybe she has. It would be cool if she had like the one weapon arm, and then the other one she could like just freaking like claw or something. And then she still has that kind of the dragon ring or whatever that I mentioned earlier that allows her to bring out her like dragon demon power. Kind of stupid, but whatever. And then that's kind of like all bulked up, which means you'd have like one hand that's really big, which is fine. And then I don't know about the kind of like how this is going to transition. I guess it's just kind of muscly, right? With maybe some sort of shell kind of thing. Should have kind of gnarly hands or gnarly hand or whatever. But it's just kind of bulked up a little bit. And then this arm could be maybe like strapped up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. It's gonna have claws and whatnot. But this hand is more human, more normal. Then this is gonna have you know, a classic bracer. Stuff like this is like that bracer. I'm gonna look up images of bracers now that I know that I want her to have one. Have some sort of padding here, some sort of pattern, or something like that. Just kind of like noting that I want that. This is cloth, and this is leather. We're gonna have maybe like a seam in there for the leather. Then the strap maybe is gonna be sticking out the back. I jump around the drawing a lot too, because I get bored. Like I don't want to draw this part anymore. Also, kind of it's good to jump around a bit because then you're fleshing everything out together. But we're not making a art piece here. We're coming up with an idea. I want to be very clear that you do not have to be an artist to come up with designs. Well, not an artist in the traditional sense, anyway. You have to be creative, but you don't have to be an artist. I usually make it up as I go, all stages of drawing. Hey, it's all depending on what your needs are, right? Like the only time you'd want to come up with a design is if you're making it for a thing, right? If you want to make a big thing, then you're like, oh yeah, now I have to think of like what this character will be doing and how they'll be part of something. And this is going to have some sort of wraps around it. Something at the end, maybe like a circle with a gem in it or something. And then I'm playing with the idea of having some sort of draping thing down in the sword. And this sword is something that she found, so it's actually better if it doesn't match the aesthetic of her. It's just kind of a mismatched thing that she just has. I always make the neck way too long. Yeah, same. You can already tell that her neck is too long. I make the neck too long and the legs too long. You can see like her legs are twice her height. So much long neck and legs are prime anime aesthetic. Yeah, 100%. I keep getting called out for that at work, though. It's like, these legs are too long. It's like, oh yeah. My art director is not an anime fan. He does not like anime. Oops. Oh, Frozen, thank you very much for the raid. Sorry there's no raid message pop up. I'm just recording this for YouTube, so I just want to keep the screen clear. But thank you very much. How was your stream? It's the same as making a waist thinner than the neck. It's true. Your director is sleeping and he needs to wake. I see, cool girl. Yeah, this is what we've designed so far for the workshop. We talked about character descriptions, and we talked about doing thumbnailing, and now we're just doing a bit of a refined drawing. And we've gone over this a couple times, or a few times now, because every time you kind of evolve the art a little bit more, or the character, I should say, the design a little bit more, as you kind of figure things out. But I think we're getting a good handle on the character. We kind of figured out what we want her to be and how we want her to look. Got a nice big old smashing blade. And again, I'm gonna like design this separately and more cleanly, the sword specifically. But it's an important prop for the character. That just deserves like some more angle shots of it. I might thin out this tail a little bit. I like the idea of having kind of lizardy dragon tail, but I don't want it to be too thick because it's a little bit weird. Trust me, when we get to 3D, trying to like fit this thing on the body of the character is not going to be easy. Oh, thank you, bro. Okay. That was pretty cool. I do want to like shift around our proportions a little bit again. I think, although I do like the longer legs, it is a little too much. So I will tone it down a little bit. So now I'm just going to kind of like move things around, figure out where I want it all to fit together, and then we'll do one more pass sketch over. And what were you up to today, Fro? What were you streaming? Just some more fang coating. Oh, nice, nice. Getting that all sorted out. Boss programming is challenging for sure. Hold on, let me pour some more water. I might have to refill my water soon, actually. Okay. We'll do one more pass, then we'll do some color. We'll think of the back view, and then we're good. I'll be lurking. This is looking pretty cool so far. Thank you. Enjoy your lurk. I will mirror it over. Okay. Yeah, so I want to figure out her face a little bit more. Because I want to make sure that that it can read, right? I'm thinking maybe I'll reduce this eye patch so that you can see her other eyebrow, but we'll see. Because having your eyebrows visible is very good for character expression, right? But again, like I was saying, I want to kind of soften up her face a little bit because she was feeling a little bit evil. But I still want her to feel like she's in it to beat shit up. And still, I want to show that kind of like tiredness. Yeah. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna pop on some more tunes for myself. Again, I wish I could play it for you guys, but then I would get DMCA. She has an Undying feeling. That's actually a good comparison. That's a good comparison, but I think it's also because of the ears kind of have this kind of like fish look, which I might have to retract. But Undying as a character is actually a very good comparison to how I want this character to feel, now that you mention it. I was actually thinking about that earlier when I just started drawing this out again. Like, I think it was on the second pass of this, I was thinking about that. I was like, oh man, Undying is actually a very similar characteristic. But I do want to change the ears a bit because they are feeling kind of fish-like, and it's not what I'm going for. I'm actually thinking of maybe having it kind of like this. So like a cup ear, a dog or a cat or something. Even have like little fluff in it. I kind of like that. Our minds are connected. I can read your thoughts. Oh no! That would be a big problem. I definitely want this to feel like it has layers, so I'm going to emphasize the shell-looking aspect of these horns. All right, this is starting to look more and more how I want, which is good. If I read your mind, I would finally understand the appeal of adding wings to characters. What's not to understand? Wings are cool. What's not cool about wings? They have good silhouette. They give you cool game mechanics. And they're just aesthetically interesting. They have lots of details. It's perfect. Wings are cool, man. How dare you? How dare you even humor the fact that they might not be cool? Wing life matters. That's right. I'm still thinking about maybe reducing this eye patch a little bit. But if I reduce it, then I can get more expression out of her. I'll start adding a little bit more detail to this. Here I was saying, oh, I'm not going to worry about all the details, and here we go. Look at all these details we're adding, guys. Look at all those details. I would say this is a final sketch, yeah. I think after this we're good. See, now that I have an eyebrow here, I can actually do stuff with it. Okay, just add a little bit more in there. You can do, wait, hold on. Is it feasible to 3D sculpt a smoke effect and render it marmoset? You can do a stylized smoke with gradient and opacity. Yeah, yeah, you could probably do something like that. But we'll be taking this into Unity at the end. So you could probably use particle systems as well. But the idea is we want to model the character and give it an idle and run cycle, and have it so that you can just put in some inputs to move them around. And it's up to you whether you want to like add extra cycles like run, walk, jog, etc. But we'll just be doing one. So we're going to do some animation, yeah. The whole point is to do the whole pipeline. Because I forgot to say at the beginning of the stream, but the main goal of this workshop is to teach you guys how to create your own projects and get your own ideas rolling, right? So you'll learn. We'll go over a little bit of everything. I'll teach you pretty much everything I know. Mind you, we'll only be doing a very simple rig. I'm not going to be doing any of the the extra bells and whistles. Like, there's not going to be a stretchy rig. It's probably just going to be an IK leg FK arm setup. So there's probably not going to be an FK IK switch either. I want to keep it as simple and as entry level as possible, so that it's just easier to kind of jump in and figure out, right? And I hope that that'll be satisfactory. You know, this would probably be inside this hood, but we'll see. But I'm thinking that this would probably sit on top like that. There we go. I kind of like that face now. That's kind of more of what I wanted her face to look like. I'm also noticing that one ear sticks up higher than the other and it's a bit awkward. Let's just pull that down. Okay. I'm also contemplating about maybe having some like tattoos or something because she was part of a tribe. But mind you, when her village was destroyed, she would have been very young, so I don't know if she would have had those tattoos as of yet. And I don't think she has any connection to her home at this point either as a character. So I'm still thinking about stuff. Keep that in mind, right? Even at this stage, you're still like you're thinking about this character and you're just drawing them because you want to be in the headspace of who they are and what they're doing when you're kind of fleshing them out. Because that's very important. It's very important to kind of be the character, think the character, you know, right? You want to make sure that you're doing them justice. A method actor. Yeah. I think any artist, any designer, any modeler, any animator has to have some ability to act or have a headspace to act, role play, right? You want to understand who the characters are and what they're doing, what their goals are. Otherwise, what are you doing, right? You're not really creating a character if you can't get in their headspace. You should be able to go in and say like, what would this character do, and just know them inside and out. Know them very, very well. I've been thinking about it, and I don't want this to be a circle. I want this to be like a diamond shape. A little bit more interesting. Circles are boring. Use circles a lot. What would Errol do if she burned the fish? What fish? Like if she caught a fish and burnt it? If that's what you mean, she'd probably shrug it off and catch a new one. She makes a lot of mistakes. But she keeps going. Yeah, she was cooking, she forgot, and then came back and it was pure coal instead of fish. Yeah, she'd shrug it off and catch another one. She wouldn't get mad or anything. The only thing that makes her actually mad is Crow. And sometimes like when sometimes she gets mad, but like it's kind of like an under the surface thing where um like if she doesn't feel like she's good enough for her role, like that's when it starts to get to her. Like expectations of her. If she has something expected of her, then that's when it starts getting frustrating for her. But generally, she doesn't get annoyed or angry about things. Are we gonna have some romance between her and Edgy Boy? No. I wanted to keep romance out of the story because I can't really write a good romance. And I didn't want to write something that was cringy. Plus, she legitimately does not like him. She hates his guts. Uh, don't need no stinking romance. Yeah. Uh, no romance, but what about bromance? Bromance. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna like fill in too much, but I'll let people like make their own decisions and their own conclusions about things. I think that's the best way to treat a story. Like let people evolve it in their own way. You give people too many answers and it's less interesting. There we go. Almost done with the braid. why I'm doing this, I don't know. This is pointless. Just a heads up, like this is the kind of thing that you really don't need to be doing for designing a character. This is just me trying to not, because if I wasn't streaming this, I wouldn't go through this trouble. But because I want it to actually look decent for you guys, I'm kind of putting a little bit more effort into it. If I'm completely honest. But this kind of stuff is not necessary. You should see some of the sketches I did for IS, they're terrible. Yeah. Finally. This is what I was talking about line work earlier. See, like how I did much fewer lines. I wasn't doing this that I normally do, because now I know what I'm making. when you get to the point where you're like, okay, now I know what I'm drawing, you can create things a lot less, like with a lot less lines, right? And that's the kind of confidence level that you want to have when you get to your modeling as well, where you're just using much fewer strokes, right? Just clean lines, clean shapes. That'll be very important, but we'll be talking about more of that in the future, of course. Then I want to have some kind of straps to go to the back. And then I'm trying to think about the transition between like a normal skin and kind of like the scaly skin. So I'm thinking like maybe something like that. It might even just kind of fade, but I'm thinking maybe it could just be like actually like coming through the skin almost, which is kind of gross, but you know. Looking very pog so far, thank you. I think this is going to be another belt strap. I'm probably going to pull this up a little bit, like so. I kind of want that to kind of tuck there. And then I'm thinking about this cloth now. Probably going to have a little bit of folds going on here. And I like I said at the very beginning, is that I wanted to have this kind of cross straps, even if they don't really make any sense. They're just interesting. Breaks up the center line a little bit. And that's a big thing too. Is like I said before as well. A lot of times you'll be doing things for the sake of what the character does, but sometimes you just want to do something because it looks cool, right? I don't think you should be afraid of that. Lots of people are, and lots of people are probably watching this or going to be watching this and going to say, "Hey, that's stupid. You're a terrible designer." And to that I say, you know what? You do you. You do you, friend. I will do me. I'm noticing a little bit of other problems with the proportions of this character. I'm gonna move some stuff around. Stay thirsty, my friends. That's right. Stay thirsty. I mean, that is actually a valid point. What am I doing? Hold on. This is not what I meant to do. My idea was I was supposed to just yank this down. Just kind of like. I just realized that the gap between the head and the clavicles and the chest were just too much. Yeah. I have an idea for the back. The back is probably going to be a shirt that kind of shapes like that. People who think you are a bad designer probably also think wings are not cool. Also true. Not necessarily. I'm not claiming to be an awesome designer. I'm approaching this in the direction of a generalist, right? So you'll probably get a lot more information from someone who does this specifically. And there's tons of videos on design out there as well. But the big thing is I'm just kind of, getting some general sense of things, talking about what I agree with and what I think, because that's what this is all about, right? It's just like I'm giving my workflow specifically, but there's so many different ways to approach things. Like there's no real right or wrong way, I would say, and you just got to find the ways that work for you. But this is just how I work, so you just got to do you, right? And roll with it. I think I made a design I like a lot. Nice, congratulations. You think you made shit, Nuz? Well, you know what? Coming from you, that probably means that you did something awesome, and you're just saying, "Oh yeah, it's not great. It's actually awesome." I know what your deal is. I know what your deal is. Lies and slander is what your deal is. Lies and slander. Adding like a little bit of a, I don't know, just a little detail. It's just kind of fun. Just a little fun little detail. And then this is going to be this bandaging. It's kind of underneath. Need more time to learn more about the character? Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't expect anyone to have a final design by the end of the stream. Yeah, you take time. You take your time. Yeah, I'm just kind of adding detail, just ideas. Um, the whale was cooler than the dog. Huh? I wonder what is that dog's deal? Oh yeah, it's I don't know. They leave that dog out all the time, and everyone has a dog, and they just bark at each other. So that's just how it is, you know. Put your head through the window and start barking. No, that's a bad idea. Pet it goodnight. It'd probably bite me if I tried to pet it. Be real. We're gonna have some kind of shell exoskeleton hands. I'm thinking about how this is going to layer and stuff too. So maybe still gonna have this kind of wraps going around the arm, but maybe there'll be shells or like not shells, but like part of the exoskeleton peeking through. Is that just a little bit more interesting? It's not gonna be all that. It's also kind of flesh too. But I imagine a kind of pronounced elbow. And there's not going to be like huge scales necessarily, but there'll be scales all around kind of thing because it's kind of a scaly arm. They only bite when they have too much love. If dog bites you, grab it by the ears and bite it as hard as you can. That's not a good idea. But I appreciate the suggestion. I don't want to have a little bit more arc to this. Hmm. Thinking that the shoulders are too broad. I want to pull that in a bit. Oops. Oh, yeah. That's gonna end with that. Cool. So the shirt underneath kind of goes like this to the neck. Then it has two parts that kind of go up like this and they connect here. And then have the shirt underneath, but then the straps go like that. Kind of thing. Yeah, there we go. Oh wow, it's already noon. Okay. Well then I should probably be just finishing this up. We'll do a quick back sketch, throw on some colors, and then that'll be that. But I gotta finish this up because we don't want to be going on forever, right? I kind of got lost in the design, in the drawing. I hope everyone is enjoying themselves, coming up with some cool concepts, even if it isn't finalized yet. And again, don't worry about the design being good or bad. Just worry about, don't worry about the drawing being good or bad. Just worry about the design being interesting, right? And getting the idea across. How do I want to do this? I think this one will be like open in the front like this. Maybe, yeah, maybe it has like a belt here or something. I have one. I hope my design is cool. Yeah. Stream will go on after you end up with the recording, maybe, but it's going on a little bit longer than I expected to, so maybe not. You're amazing for doing this. Thank you. Oh, no worries. It's like I'd be designing characters and trying to make new things anyway. So why not just record the process? Right? It's like it's a double whammy. We're getting a whole bunch of things done at once. Multiple birds with the same stone, as it were. I am noticing that one knee is higher than the other, but you know, the legs are still extremely long. I might just yank both of these up. Hold on. Well. Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit shorter. And I think this one will be shorter from here. Put some fur. I kind of want her to be in somewhat warmer climates, so fur doesn't really make sense. My idea was kind of like desert-y area. So she has like a lot of like open parts of her clothes, right? It's not super super layered. Yeah, so I'm kind of speeding up the pace a little bit now. You can tell that the drawing is getting a little bit weaker. But I want to get something done. But just I want to make sure that we have something pretty well in place by the end of the stream, right? These cold demons says she has cold blood. It's better for her to not use fur. Yeah, she is kind of a lizard demon, so yeah, makes sense. Would definitely be cold-blooded. Yeah, and then next weekend we'll, like I said, we'll start doing the anatomy sculpting. So be sure to have your designs done by then. That's your homework for this week. I might play around with this a little bit more during the week too, but we'll see if time permits. Alright. Sorry about the dog, guys. I wish he would calm down, but dogs will be dogs. Oh, hey, Pumpkin, thank you. Whale versus dog round one. Where'd the whale come from? Whale all the way. Don't you hear the whales outside? I have headphones on. So no. Oh, do you mean the cars? Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, I'm probably gonna thin this out a little bit more. Because it was a bit too much. I want to have the... I don't know how I feel about having the kind of like these little cheesy dragon spine things, but maybe if we make them a little bit more interesting shape. I might omit these later, but for now we'll leave them. I like what they do for the silhouette, even if they are kind of corny. And obviously this is going to be like kind of scaly. Puts belts on everything on it. Oh yeah. Lots of belts. There's lots of belts. I like belts. Okay. You don't question the belts, you just do them. You just have them. This is supposed to be skin. Okay. All right. You can see that I kind of loosened off on the drawings as I went down to the bottom because I realized it was taking just too damn long. Type 2 disease, yeah. Anyway, that's kind of good. So I think what we'll do is we'll just quickly, I don't have to design everything in the back, just kind of the important stuff. You're probably going to want to spend a little bit more time on the back, but just because I want to get something in before the end, we'll keep it brief. All right. So I'm not sold on everything in this design yet, so we're gonna, again, I'm gonna kind of go through it later and evolve it some more probably. But we'll see where we go. Should we send designs yet? In a bit. I can't get to it just yet anyway because I'm still working. So I'll probably like in 20 minutes or something like that. I want to get I want to get some more colors down and well some colors down. I don't have any colors down yet, but we'll kind of figure out our color scheme and a back view. So transform, flip horizontal. Okay. Let's turn down the opacity on that. Just kind of get an idea of where things are. I'm going to keep this very rough. I'm not even going to color the back view probably. I might, but probably not. So the back view, I'm going to omit the cloak from the back view because the cloak's just going to cover up everything, realistically speaking, right? So but the big thing is just kind of getting a lot of the important stuff, mainly figuring out how things will connect in the back is what I'm caring about right now. So for instance, the tail is a big important factor here, which I believe is just going to kind of go right up into the spine. So this is actually going to connect to the lower back, and a bit lower than that. Right. Again, we're probably going to have like these kind of like little bits of scales that kind of go up and intermingle with skin here. The belts that are going around the back are probably going to have to just sit on top, which might look a little bit weird. We'll see. But the big thing here is that I had this kind of shirt in the back that kind of drapes down in the front, but in the back it's going to have to be different. It's going to have to just splay out to the side or something, kind of like this. And we have a belt that kind of goes across like that. And what else do we need? I'm going to have it go like this on the back. And to look at the hair from the back, it's probably going to be something along these lines, where this kind of splays like this, and then we have our large kind of bun at the top there, with the braid that kind of sticks at the bottom. So I'm not going to worry about any of those details because right now I'm just, I don't care. And then the horns kind of go around to the front. Similarly with this horn. It's closer to camera now, so I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Obviously, no, not obviously, but this hair is going to be in front of it because it's further to the back. It's sticking out the back. And we have the ears that kind of stick out to the side. This is for a character creation workshop we're doing, Pumpkin. So I'm going to be, if you type exclamation itinerary, you'll get all the information you need. But I'll be going through the entire process. So we're going to take this character, we're going to model them, we're going to rig them, we're going to animate them, and we're going to throw them in Unity. The whole shebang. I don't want to have like an open back, even if you can't really see it, because that's aesthetically pleasing. And have a shoulder pad. And then this arm is kind of lost to the front, right? So don't worry about that. And this is, the sword's obviously going to go the other way, but I don't care about the sword right now. I'm actually just going to have her open hand here because I'm not going to draw the sword again from this angle. I just don't want to do it. Okay. And that gets the idea across. I hope that's clear. It's clear to me. When I'll add some rough colors to kind of get the ideas. I don't really care about the legs. The legs are pretty straightforward. There we go. Cool. Hey Jason, how are you doing? Anyone just getting warmed up? That's why I spent some time before stream getting warmed up. Yeah. But it doesn't. It's okay. Like you guys don't have to finish it now. I had to be a little bit more diligent because I'm at the show, you know. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. I wouldn't worry at all. In fact, I might add another pouch here. Not fun. All right. Oh, I forgot the other side of the cloak. And also the tail would be visible here. Cool. I think that's pretty cool. Let's just rough in some colors now. So this can be very messy. It doesn't have to be good. It just kind of gets the idea across, right? So we're gonna block in some skin tone. I think I want to have it a little bit paler, or it could even be like a red. Hold on. Maybe we can like play around with skin tone and have it kind of like a pinky skin tone. I don't know how you feel about that, but or I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Oh no, is your heading off? Try to have a stable design by next week. Okay, sounds good, dude. I wouldn't worry so much though, because you usually end up saying you hate it and you show it to us and it's really cool. So don't stress. Yeah. I'm gonna start with the regular skin tone, and then you can always change it later. Oops, not there. Here. I'm learning how to draw at the moment, so it's a bit hard for me. It doesn't have to be a good drawing. It just has to be an interesting concept. I wouldn't worry about it so much. I don't think it's some good art. That's right, you gotta be a good artist in mod here. Okay. I'm trying to think of hair color, kind of leaning towards like a black, and then with like a highlight tone. I'm gonna keep the skin on a different layer, that way we can play with the tone. Because I'm not 100% sure about that. But I'm liking the idea of maybe having some red highlights to this hair. Okay, I think I'm really happy with the new look of my character, but I'm afraid of the color. Well, join us in color. You'll notice that I'm not really, I haven't picked a color harmony. I'm just kind of rolling with it. You know, you might want to pick a color scheme ahead of time, but I kind of just like to roll with it. I kind of just like to say like, oh yeah, maybe this color would be cool here. And then at the end of it, you can say like, well, it's not really working. And then you can think about what colors you have and say, okay, maybe this color isn't working and we'll replace it with a different color. And you kind of use color theory afterwards to kind of make it work. So right now all I'm thinking about is like, what would be a cool color for this character? And then afterwards, cleaning it and refining it if needed, right? So if they say like, oh, these colors kind of clash, then you use color theory to find out why, and you fix it. Young boy black. Hey, how you doing? Give them marble skin? Nah. I don't want to do anything like completely crazy with that. I kind of want to just keep that clean. It's a neat idea though. Is that a character design? Yes. We were talking about character design today, so we went over some like writing up design details as far as like characteristics and stuff, and then we did some thumbnailing, and then we did a more detailed sketch, and now we're playing around with color, having some fun, you know. Yeah. The back view is just a mess. I'm aware of that. It's just I mainly wanted to figure out the core area and get that sorted. Thinking that the ears maybe could have the hair on them as well. Be kind of light on the inside. And yeah. This character's name, the character does not have a name yet. I will be thinking about that. But I will be getting to that shortly. I usually like to think of a name right off the bat. And I know lots of people go like all crazy. It's just like, oh man, the name has to have meaning. And I'm like, not really. Because maybe it does, but it all depends on context, right? So like say the character has a reputation, then maybe they have a nickname that everyone calls them. Okay, at that point, yeah, the name that reflects off of their personality makes sense. But in most cases, it'll be the parents coming up with the name, right? So then their name isn't actually a reflection of them, it's a reflection of their parents or their heritage. So for instance, this character could be like a very broody, like intense character, but they could have like a really cutesy name like Rose or something, or Emerald or something, because their parents are very like cool, or not cool, but like calm characters, right? So they're just like, they don't have like this kind of intensive personality that the person does. So all things to be considered. You know, it'd be fun switching to French for 5 minutes. Please not, not for this. Just because because I'm doing a video, right? She could be a Karen. Karen's a good name. I like that. Karen is a good name. Emily, maybe. Like, because I remember her parents are pacifists. They're not, like, they probably have this very like normal name, right? Not like a destroyer of the seven kingdoms or whatever, right? No, why not? Um, Colin Courtney. Yeah. Um, yeah. But again, like, I don't necessarily feel like the name has to be a reflection of everything. You just pick a name that you think is nice, right? I usually pick the first name that comes to mind a lot of the time, if I'm honest. I'm not sure how I feel about this kind of dark interior cape, because everything's just going to blend together. I'm taking this back. Oops. Call her Sunny. I was also thinking of like, if it's some sort of tribe, it'd be kind of fun to have like a normal name, but have like an apostrophe, like Sarah, right? But you know, it's dumb stuff like that. Call her workshop character. I'll just call her workshop. No. I'm very adamant about giving a character a name. That is very important to me. Having a character that's just called character. I want to have like a name for her by the end of today, or even by the end of stream, because I never. It's very hard to get into a character without having them have a name, right? If they're just called generic person number 5, it's just like, what are you even making? Right. Your character is a person. Give them personality. Maybe kind of purple interior. It's kind of neat. Workshop. Yeah. Maybe Claire. Claire or Clara. Could be a cool name. Like I don't, yeah, it doesn't need to be anything like specific or particular. It's just like if you think of a cool name, you're like, oh man, yeah, that's a good name. Give that name to your character. Who cares? You don't have to be like super particular. I don't know what that means. Midori. Um, Midori. That's like a Japanese name, right? Looks like a Zoe. Zoe is not a bad name either. Call her Pink. Squeaky, hey! Welcome in. We're designing. We're designing. I'm just not sure about the interior color of this cape. I don't think that looks good either. Oops. Sandra, yeah. This is based on the votes, yes. We came up with like a draconian demon lady. Who's kind of a drifter, bounty hunter, who's very good at healing magics as well. Yeah. Yeah. Good choices all around. I'm gonna leave the interior of that cape for later. The reason for that is because I want to see what the interior of clothing is going to look like, and I want to make sure that it contrasts well with the cape, right? You know what I mean? Staria or Starla. Interesting. She has a big effing sword. However, she's a healer from a pacifist tribe. Yep. That's the story we came up with. Because her hometown is basically ransacked. Everyone was killed, and she's like, well, you know what? Pacifism obviously is not the way. And she went for a life of brute force, but she still knows healing magic because that's how she was brought up. So she kind of uses it to like heal her wounds after fights and stuff. So she has like little pouches on her legs that have healing herbs and stuff like that. I think it's a pretty cool backstory. Tara, that's a nice name. Tara. What were the other ones? Midori. Does Midori have a meaning? Or like I don't know because like this is specifically a Japanese name, so that one might be a little bit weird. Zoe. Oh yeah. Okay. I don't want to have a nah. That might work. You know what? This should kind of be like this is supposed to be like a cloak that she stole off of a royal guardsman. So actually, oh, you know what? She stole this from a royal guardsman. It shouldn't be so like dark and evil looking. So maybe having it white or something would make more sense. And maybe this shouldn't be white, but instead something darker. Maybe like a darker gray or something. Because if it's a darker gray, then it will stand out against the white background. And the inside of the cape is kind of like a bright white. Is it town? Oh, interesting. White, blue. Oh, you mean like have the actual shawl part, the outer part, this part blue? Yeah, that could work. And then have it kind of like muddy or dirty at the bottom. Something like that. And now this yellow doesn't work anymore. Maybe if I make it orange. Less saturated orange. I don't know. I guess the yellow kind of worked. Reminds me of L. Oh yeah, that could be problematic too. I don't know. Whatever. I might go back to red. We'll see. Because I do use blue and white a lot, and it's nice to kind of mix up the colors that I use. I want her eyes to be kind of like a reddy dark color as well. Oh yeah, and I wanted to have some highlights of red in her hair. Like that. And then the eye patch. At this point in the process, are you not concerned with the design choices that may later make it difficult? I am. I have considered all those things as well. But I try not to worry about it too much. Like earlier in the sketching phases, yeah, I wasn't worrying about it at all. But later, yeah. I want to make hair cards for the hair with some stylized hair. Yeah, take whatever approach you like. good at rigging and animating difficult things. Like I would never add a cape. Capes are fun. I've done a lot of capes. Done a lot of capes. It will be a pain in the ass to rig, but you know, here we are. What do I, oh yeah, she's got like this. The tail, I'm not sure what color that should be. Oops. I'm thinking like a red, but let me think about it. Could be a red or blue. I mean, if we're doing blues and stuff, maybe, but also she's got red in her hair, so I don't know. I do not wish to suffer. I like suffering, clearly. I clearly like to suffer. Yeah. Darker. I usually consider gradients when I'm working, so you'll notice that I'm using darker colors for the legs and the feet because that's less of the focal point. And then I use lighter colors elsewhere. I will like have a little bit of lighter colors to kind of break up this with the straps, but you know what I'm saying. Oh yeah, I was gonna add some bandaging and stuff to this boot to kind of make it look like it was damaged. So I'm still gonna do that. And this will be lighter here. And this is going to be this color with these colors here. Pouches will also be this color. Actually, I kind of want the pouches to be a little bit lighter, just so that they kind of pop a little bit more. They're important aspects of her design, and I want them to read. We're gonna have some belts that go across like this. We got our strap that goes around like that. We also have some bandaging here. I'm not sure about the white on white there, but you know, whatever. And again, I'm not worrying too much about it being perfect. I'm trying to think of like what color her dragon flesh will be. Dragon flesh. Maybe this kind of like red. Maybe a little bit more saturated. Read it a little bit better. Or brighter. Yeah. Okay, so we got that. And have a little bit of the body kind of showing through in areas. And again, I'm not really caring about going over the lines or anything like that. It's not supposed to be super clean or anything. And again, I'll be cleaning a lot of this stuff up more off stream. Right now, I'm still just figuring stuff out. I think the inner part of this is going to be a bit of a darker color. That. Cool. A little bit of dark around the fingers. We're gonna. Do you a lot of capes? You've done a lot of capes, and also with every cape, long piece of cloth you rig, you always say, "What a pain in the butt it is to rig," and wonder why you do it to you. It's true, every time. Sadist, yeah, bit of a sadist. Cam, hey, yes, we're doing our workshop. We're coming to a close on today's session, actually. I think we've come up with some good stuff today. I'm pretty happy with the concept that we came up with. Pretty cool. Oops. And I hope all of you have enjoyed hanging around today. I think that this is still going to be the same kind of color. And then after this, we'll spend a little bit of time looking at your guys' art if you want to share it, and if not, we'll save it for next week. Okay. Oh yeah, and then there's this armor. I'm thinking it's going to be like a kind of a darker color as well on the inside, and then have this like a lighter metal outside. So obviously we're going to need to color all the metal bits around. Also this sword, I think the sword can be a bit darker. I'm gonna go on the blue side though. The sword is supposed to be a little bit more ornate because it's a relic, a fancy relic. So it's probably gonna have some gold decals. With kind of like a nice red bandaging hilt. Gold at the end with maybe a nice glowy gem there. There we go. Maybe some little red highlights here too to kind of tie that in. All right. I will also just kind of sketch in, oops, just a little bit of the colors here, just so that you get an idea of what is associated to what. One color. Cool. Is that sword important? Because in the past, blacksmiths used to carve the name of the owner of the sword in the metal. That could be a neat idea. Mainly, she just found it in like some ruins, and she picked it up because it was looks like a good sword. Yeah, you can, Courtney. I'm going to. We're going to be looking at that stuff right now. Actually, I think we're good. I think I'm leaning towards the name Zoe. It's kind of a name that I like, so I think I'm going to call her that. And yeah. Big whip at the moment, no worries. So if you guys want to share it, you can share it in chat here, or I'm making a Discord section right now for the workshop, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so the text channel has been created for workshop. Feel free to jump in there and share, and we'll look at whatever anyone wants to go over. Also, Courtney, if you're still here, do you want to give me a brief description of what your character is? I kind of need to know what your character is all about in order to give you feedback. But if you want to just share it, that's also cool. We can also just look at what Courtney made. I'll at least share it and then go from there. It's your OC. Yes, yeah, yeah. But what's she all about? So here's Courtney's character. Very cool. What's her deal? It's like I can't really give any thoughts on the design if I don't know what her story is, but I can kind of guess at what her story is. She looks like some sort of warrior of some kind, part of some sort of maybe tribe or organization. She's got kind of like that headwear, so things like that. Okay, yeah. So she's like a village warrior, I would say, or a leader. Oh, she's a leader. Okay, so she's the chief. I can see that. Maybe I'd recommend having some more ornate aspects to her. So maybe having like more jewelry, more embroidery, maybe tattoos or stuff like that. Something that like represents her tribe. But I imagine that a tribe leader would be more decorated. Yeah, that'd be kind of my thoughts. This is the old design. But yeah, it looks really good. Yeah. Anyone else want to share what they have, what they're working on? If not, we'll finish it up here and. Oh, here we go, Talden. Oh man, this is great, Talden. Here, let's check out what Talden did. This is very cool. So what's your character all about? She looks like she has some sort of magma clouds going on. Oh, you also went with the tail? Nice, nice. Yeah. Hot girl, literally. But yeah, this is very cool. Yeah. Oh, there's a description here. Okay. She's basically a fire demon who lives in a volcano on an island. She took up the position of being their empress as she noticed them dumping riches into the volcano. Okay, so she's kind of like almost like a god of some kind in their eyes. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so that fits all very well. Like having like this kind of like very shiny, like this kind of like gold, lots of gold going on is very empress kind of feeling, right? It does tie into like her environment and whatnot, so that's very cool. What's the story about the smoke? Like, is the smoke just like coming out of her ears, or is it just like does she like generate it, or does she use it somehow? She's been thinking of expanding her domain so that she could get even more. Cool. Daniel, thank you very much for the raid, dude. Welcome in. Sorry, there's no notification right now. We're just going to be uploading this VOD to YouTube, so I just wanted to keep the screen very clear. But welcome in. I hope you had a good stream. She's pretending to be one because she noticed that she was trying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's supposed to be kind of like long hair. Okay, that's cool. Small design. Yeah. Very cool. Okay, so like this is like all a trail of smoke that comes behind her. So like this part here is also part of her hair, I guess. That's cool. I gotta run, take care of the kids, but this looks sweet. This isn't mine. This is Talbot's. This is mine. So this is what we designed, and then I'm just looking at everyone else's designs at the end of the stream here. Yeah. Cool. All right, and we'll see if there's any other ones. Ike. All right, let's have a look. What's your character about? A vampire She's a singer that lure people into the bar and help her clan kidnap and feed on them, but she gets fed up and disbanded, trying to find her way to see with her own eyes. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So this is oh, what's the deal with the hands? That's pretty neat. So she feeds through her hands instead of like the classic normal way. That's interesting. I like that. I definitely can get like the singer vibes with the kind of like with this kind of really fur collar and the cuffs and stuff like that. So that definitely feels good for her. This is very cool. Nice, you got your thumbnails and stuff. You did a better job at the back than I did. Very cool. Evo, this is my quick sketch. Sorry for the bad art, but now drawing skill doesn't matter. It's just about getting the idea. Go for an alchemist, explore and improve your skill. That I'll try to fix your upload again. Cool. So this is evils. Very nice. Good clear design, different color, like nice color contrast, right? Yeah, very cool. Little cracked glasses. So I guess she's just made some mistakes. She's a bit clumsy, drops her glasses sometimes. Yeah, so she likes to explore. That's cool. I like that. Very cool. These are all. You should post these in the server. They are in the server. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't matter if it's simple, evil. It doesn't like complexity doesn't make a better design. Things can be simple or complex, and they're both valid. You just do whatever works for you, right? But yeah, no, very great work, everyone. So this was fun. I'm going to stop the recording now here. I think that was a good amount of recording, and that's going to go up on YouTube. And we'll just vibe for a few minutes. I'm just going to stand up for a second, and then maybe we'll find someone to raid, or we can chat for a bit. But yeah, I'll stop the recording, and we'll carry on next week with doing some rough in of anatomical sculpting. I'll probably work a little bit on this off stream as well.